We're not saying like Wall Street's evil. We're just saying they're not telling you the full story of what your IRA or 401k can do. They're telling you what works for them, which is buy the stuff that they sell.
My IRA bought 5 pregnant cows, and then they gave birth and frolicked in the grass in the summer and got knocked up by a bull in the summer. And then I sold the 15 cows a year later in my IRA.
We're talking about what is a self-directed IRA, and we're going to be doing 10 parts to this. Really, in my mind, this is anyone getting started, or maybe this is your first time using a self-directed IRA. These next 10 episodes we're going to do is what you need to know, A to Z, on how to self-direct your IRA. And all the other stuff in the podcast is just filler of good stuff. You've got to dive deep on a topic maybe, or a quick update. But these are going to be the critical 10 episodes we want to make sure you know about.
Yeah, these are a great 10 to share with a family member, a friend, an advisor that's not up to speed. Sometimes business owners know more than their advisor because they have the time maybe to dive deep in something they're interested in. I want you advisors that maybe have been referred to this 10-part series. We've got your back. We have been in this industry as tax lawyers for 25 years in tax, legal, and finance. We started this trust company, Matt, as the fearless pioneer, at least 7 to 8 years ago was the impetus of that. You know, I mean, you had this idea a long time before that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we've been helping certified financial advisors, IRAs, and everywhere in between understand the power of the IRA or 401k. So I hope for those of you that were referred to listen to this, I think you're going to love this. It's going to really break it down. And this first one is, what even is a freaking self-directed retirement account?
Yeah, so I want to answer that question out of the gate. What is a self-directed IRA? And to me, a self-directed IRA is an IRA account that can invest in any asset allowed by law. A lot of people think of their IRA or even their 401k and they think, I can buy a stock or mutual fund. And even if I can pick which stock I am, that's self-directed. No, it's not. That's a brokerage IRA account, and that's what I would call that. A self-directed IRA is an IRA that can invest in any asset allowed by law. But that could include a rental property down the street. That could include a small business in your community. That could include a private note secured by real estate, a private fund, a startup, a VC fund, a private equity fund, oil and gas investing, crypto. These are all assets you can invest your IRA into. And every day in our office here at Directed IRA, every 20 minutes, someone's doing that with their account, at least.
Yeah, it's huge. Now, a category that you might want to put that in is called alt assets, alternative investments, alternative assets. That's becoming more and more common. You'll hear that out there on the airwaves. Now, to me, when you say, what is a self-directed IRA? To me, I have another perspective. I think of what is a self-directed IRA as it could be a health savings account.
Yeah.
It could be a 401k. It could be a SEP. It could be a simple. It could be an education savings account or covered out. Any of those fall into this self-directed category.
Yeah.
Sometimes we've joked in the past it's called a SDIRP.
Yeah.
Self-directed retirement plan.
Yeah.
The IRA is just the cliche, I think.
Yeah, and when we say self-directed IRA, this could be your Roth IRA, this could be your HSA, this could be the ESA for your kids, and we do all those types of accounts here at Directed IRA. And there's different rules on how each of those account types work, but when we say self-directed, we're talking about buying the rental property down the street. It's really the asset that you're investing into it that you're trying to use the account with that makes it self-directed. If you're like, well, Matt, I just want to buy Microsoft stock. Don't do this. Don't come to us.
Yeah.
Don't do a self-directed IRA. Just go to a brokerage IRA. But if you're like, Matt, I've already got plenty of stocks and mutual funds. I'd like to do something different, what Mark called an alternative asset, if you can call real estate alternative. It's kind of been around forever.
That's what Wall Street would like to call it.
It's made more millionaires than any other asset, and it happens to be the most popular self-directed asset. So we're going to go over that here for a second and talk about big picture. How does that work? By the way, Mark and I have both done this. Not only have we been tax lawyers for 20 plus years helping clients across the country, we've both written books on the topics. We've been on national TV on this space, on stages across the country. We do this with our own IRA and 401k accounts too.
Yeah, this is, may I point out, not high risk, not cutting edge, not weird, alternative, risky.
All investing is risky, let's say that.
Yeah.
But you could make a good real estate investment. You can make a bad real estate investment. You can make a good stock a bad one. There's risk in all of it.
But the concept itself is not, you're not on the fringes like the IRS is looking out for us. This has been around for 30, 40 years. This is Peter Thiel with a $5 billion Roth account now. Mitt Romney, when he ran for president, had a
100 million plus account.
Yeah, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, So it's just that Wall Street doesn't want you to know this because Wall Street brokerage houses are typically not structured, in fact, for the most part, are never structured to allow for this. They have a machine that's built on commissions and money management and account management that does not allow for this unless you're at this higher level. So we're trying to bring this message to the masses.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. Now, Matt, one thing you said, I want you to clarify. This is interesting. When Matt said, you said it twice, some of you may have caught it, invest in anything allowed by law. What does that mean?
The one thing that's always surprising is we'll tell people about, you can buy real estate with your IRA or invest in crypto. And they're like, did the laws change? No. The laws have never restricted the only restrictions on what you cannot buy with an IRA is collectible items. This could include like art, a collectible car. In fact, this was stuff you could actually buy this stuff with a retirement account from the very beginning, and people were buying this stuff, quasi-investment collectible items.
Yeah, those wine collections.
Yeah.
I like how you point those.
The wine collections, they ended up being bottle collections. And the IRS was like, no, we're not letting people drink their IRAs. This is getting out of hand. So they restricted collectibles. Okay, so that was the first one that went down. Now there are some exceptions in the collectible category, like gold and silver, platinum and palladium. There's certain precious metals that if they meet purity and storage requirements, you can have. We'll come to more of that later in future episodes. But collectibles are restricted. S corporation stock, IRAs just don't qualify as an S corporation shareholder. That's an S corporation rule. But your IRA can own an LLC. We do a lot of that. Your IRA can own a limited partnership. It could own a C corporation. That's what when you're buying Microsoft stock or Apple or GM, they're a C corporation. And so S corporation is the only one you can't own with an IRA. And then the last one is really the biggest restriction, which is something called the prohibited transaction rules. That's not what you can buy, it's who can you buy it from. Yeah. And we're going to talk about that in future episodes.
Yeah. Now, I like when you say allowed by law, what comes to mind to me is, man, if I could just run my business of drug running in my IRA, that would be great. I can just do all of my marijuana dispensary out of my IRA. That would be great. Now, of course, that's a controversial topic because marijuana dispensaries are maybe allowed under state law, but they're not allowed under federal law. And IRAs are governed under federal law. And so you get into a very precarious area if you want to do something like that. And so
that's a great point. That's a very topical one right now where we do run into issues, and there's a lot of startups and a lot of companies making a lot of money in that space. Yeah. We think it's going to grow, and there's a lot of people who have a solid investment thesis on it, and they want to invest, particularly with a Roth IRA, early. Mm-hmm. This is, again, the strategy for a lot of people is invest in assets you think you're going to appreciate and be significantly greater over time. And so despite the fact that you have a license from the state government saying you can sell this, because the IRAs are federal, you can't do it. So that would be another area. Now, we have seen a lot of different areas on this. We've had clients buy the real estate that they lease to a grower or to a dispensary, and they get pretty high rents on those things, but they don't own the cannabis product. And they're not selling it. They're somewhere in the ecosystem in the business, but they actually don't own the cannabis or sell it, nor do they smoke it.
And this is fun to talk about, but it's also important because, okay, I can self-direct my IRA. What can I buy or not buy? And we're going to come to in a future episode of who you can not buy from and who you can buy from or invest with or that sort of thing. But when you just talk about the asset piece, I'm grateful you're allowing us to unpack this, our wonderful listener here, because you want to understand what are these things my IRA cannot or cannot do. When it comes to a business, an IRA can run a business. An IRA could open a restaurant. It really could. Now, there's going to be a tax in there called UBIT. We'll talk about that in a later episode. But again, running a business is okay in an IRA. Now, a risky business, you would not be allowed if you were, say, Tom Cruise in college trying to run a risky business. They could even make a movie about this and run something illegal, such
not recommended.
As an escort service in college. You might be able to get into the university of your choice to show your business acumen, but your IRA could not run Tom Cruise's risky business if you've seen that movie.
Yeah, that's also illegal, apparently.
Apparently.
Except in Nevada. I think you might be okay there. Again, we might get into that still illegal federally for crossing state lines. Let's not get there, guys. Okay.
But that's again this allowed by law concept.
Yeah.
Is that if you can go run this business, 99% of the time your IRA can do it as well.
Exactly. That's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
Like, and just think of it like the bread and butter Main Street businesses across America. Your IRA could invest in them. And a lot of people think about it, all right, I want my IRA to invest in a small business. And let's just start giving examples here. I've had a client own 30% of a Wild Buffalo Wings, franchise that actually
killed it.
Very profitable. Had a great cash flow, and his IRA grew. And so that's like a little small business.
I like this. Some fun examples.
Yeah.
Can we go back and forth?
Yeah.
Example. Okay, so your client owned part of a Buffalo Wings.
Yeah.
I'll use one of mine. My IRA bought 5 pregnant cows. They are called pairs. If they have not given birth yet, it's called a pair.
Okay.
And then they gave birth and frolicked in the grass in the summer and got knocked up by a bull in the summer. And then I sold the 15 cows a year later in my IRA. It was called Kohler Dutton Livestock, LLC.
Yes.
It's a legitimate company. For those that are fans of Yellowstone, I just said, you know what? I'm going to do what John Dutton did, but do it in my IRA. Yeah. And I did.
And did Beth go negotiate any of those deals? Or
Yeah, it was...
No? Okay, and we've had other clients' IRAs own livestock. Okay,
Yep.
You could do that. And obviously you're selling it for a profit, trying to make money and grow the retirement account. And so that's the concept here. It's like, just like you think your IRA can own Microsoft stock, and if Microsoft stock goes up in value, your account goes up in value, or they issue dividends or profits, your account goes up in value. The same thing here is if you bought cows and those cows are worth more because they produce more and they have baby cows, and then the value of livestock just goes up of the whatever they are, type of livestock you might have. So, or there's income coming off it, but that's going to the IRA. It's not going on your 1040.
Yes.
The same thing with real estate, and that'd be the first self-directed investment I made. I bought a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single-family rental in Indianapolis. Is the first investment I did with my own self-directed account. It was $85,000. It gave $1,100 a month in rent. I got a mortgage that had to be non-recourse. You could even get a mortgage to buy real estate with your IRA. And there's banks that do that.
You may say, well, I don't have enough money in my IRA.
Yeah.
Matt didn't
I didn't
either.
either. My very first one, I had $45,000 in it. I think I had $40,000 in it, and I got a loan from the bank for $45,000. I bought the rental for $85,000 total, and we'll have a future episode on how you do that, by the way. But basically, the rental income going to my retirement account, growing it. Any expenses, my retirement account covered the expenses. I had a property manager that would pay the bills, and then I'd get the cash flow into my retirement account. And then when I sold the property 3 years later for $190,000, okay, all that gain of about $100,000 went back into my retirement account. And so I got the appreciation of the property. I got the cash flow on the rental income. My retirement account had to cover the expenses, okay? But also, this didn't show up on my 1040. It wasn't on my personal return. Just like you think of an IRA, if you're familiar with your brokerage IRA, when you're buying and selling stocks, you're not getting stuff that goes in your 1040. This is building up in your retirement account for long-term wealth building.
I love it. Okay, so our 3 examples so far are Buffalo Wild Wings, some livestock, a piece of real estate. I'll go to another one of mine. But what I did is we did a crypto mine. So we pooled multiple IRAs. This is another concept you're going to learn, is that you can take your IRA with your family's IRAs or others and create an LLC. It doesn't have to just be one LLC owned by one IRA. You can pool together multiple retirement accounts. So we did that as a family. And we went and bought a CPU with multiple video cards, which allow you to mine for verifying transactions in the crypto industry. They call it crypto mining, and we were earning Bitcoin. And to this day, right now, while we're sitting here, our crypto mine is cha-ching, cha-ching. Every 4 hours, we get paid in Bitcoin for mining. We only have about 9 video cards, so it's not one of these big Costco's of racks of, that you see on Discovery Channel where they're talking about crypto mining, which is an important process in the crypto space that has to happen, this verification thing. But that's a whole other topic. But we've been crypto mining in our Roth IRA. Now, speaking of that, Matt, I just want to hear about your ingenious move of being one of the forerunners in buying crypto.
Yeah.
How did that go for you?
So it went pretty good. So, in 2017, and you can go watch the terrible YouTube video I shot on this back then. But in 2017, I had all these clients, and this is maybe going on for a year or two before that kept asking me, can I buy crypto in my self-directed IRA? And we'd help clients invest in small businesses and startups and real estate transactions. I mean, we had lots of crazy stuff. We have clients own Mexican soccer teams in their IRAs, racehorses, and all these other things. And people are like, can you do crypto? And we're like, Well, it's not on the list of what you can't do, so that means it's permissible and it's a valid investment. And it started getting a little bit of traction. You start hearing about it in the news. Now everybody knows crypto. You can't, go around the corner without hearing about it or seeing it in the news. And so 2017, I'm like, well, I got to figure out what this is. Got enough clients that wanted me to do it, and they paid me to figure it out. So I was billing them by the hour by the way, I was billing them by the hour. I was billing them by the hour to conduct this experiment. So what I did was I bought 2 Bitcoin. Okay. And at the time, it was $2,500 per BTC.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay. And so I used my self-directed IRA at the time that owned an IRA LLC. I connected it to a wallet. So I had a bank account with the LLC. I connected to a wallet. At the time, I used Coinbase. We have a whole crypto IRA product now with Gemini that you skip all this LLC, having to do an institutional account with Coinbase, which is basically impossible now. So we've shortcutted this now, by the way, with our crypto IRA. But so I bought these 2 Bitcoin, $2,500 per BTC in 2017. And it's funny, even when you watch the video, I'm like, $2,500 per Bitcoin, and I was like, this is crazy.
I'm throwing this money away.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make money or not. This is not a recommendation or anything. I'm just saying this is interesting to me, and I wanted to kind of figure it out for myself and learn. And I didn't feel like I had to go all in. And I think that's another important point for a lot of people self-directing is just kind of figure it out a little bit. Don't take your whole $100 million IRA if you're 60 years old and go do this. If you're brand new to it, like just get a little experience, figure out what it's doing. And so it turned out to be a great investment, obviously, because now it's over $100K per BTC.
So you held on to it till now.
I sold some, but I have bought other stuff. And my crypto portfolio is way ahead of where it would have been if I held it. So I did make some mistakes in selling some of it, but I bought some Ethereum, I bought Solana, I bought some other things, and so we don't have to get into that. But those are other crypto you could buy, by the way, which I know you've done XRP and some other cool stuff. But that's one of the hot alternative assets right now, just like today, is crypto. Now, you usually want to buy it when it's not the hot thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're not giving investment advice.
Buy low, sell high. But that's something you can, of course, do with your IRA as well. And I used an LLC structure back then. I know you used the LLC for the mining, but there's different structures to do it. Right now, we have what's called a crypto IRA, where you open an IRA with us, and we connect it to a wallet with Gemini on exchange, and you can be trading within a week. Which is pretty quick, seamless, keeps the fees low. You don't have to worry about LLCs and all that.
Yeah, I love that story. Well, I'll give one other example, and then I know we want to just, again, keep this first part of this 10-part series. It's simple and to the point. What is a self-directed IRA? And so we talk about what it looks like, what an account is, what we do here at Directed IRA, just so you have a little more conceptual. But one last example of an asset, and let's put a twist on this. I did this with my health savings account.
Yeah.
So we're talking about IRAs and Roths and 401ks, but I wanted to also prove the point that you could do this with a HSA.
Yeah.
And at the time, we did not have an HSA product. This was very, very cutting edge. This was back in 2016, before Matt had even done crypto.
Yeah.
So I got my HSA account with a custodian. At the time, I think it was Equity Trust, and I got my HSA set up there. And then I bought into an LLC that I created, and that LLC went and bought the cutest little meth lab. It was adorable. No. Low-income housing unit in South Chicago, like $40,000, and I did seller financing. So my HSA literally put down $4,000, 10%, and the seller carried the paper for $36,000.
Yeah.
And this property, I still own it today, has appreciated, and it's was in the Section 8 low-income housing program and has been ever since at the very beginning. And I've got a little grandma living there now. I joke about some tenants I have had in the past that there may have been some business operations going around. But,
there may have been rent paid in cash.
Yeah. There could have been Walter White and Jesse were moved in for a few weeks with an RV. But no, it's in a tough area. My property manager won't allow me to do a property tour, at least at night. But anyway, it's been a great little rental. And I did that in my health savings account. So the profits went back to the LLC, and then I could distribute profits from the LLC to my HSA. And that HSA paid for one of my kids' braces. Yeah. It's paid for a variety of medical expenses. Now it's a low-income housing project for $40,000. So I'm not getting rich on Bitcoin here with this project. But what I want to do is, again, prove that it could be done. And it's been sustainable, and it's been great. The mortgage is now down around, 25, 30. And and the property's gone up 5 or 10 grand, not a lot because it's not it's not by a golf course or anything, but it's been a good little investment. And when I'm ready to sell, all that profit will go back into my HSA.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think I'll give another example here, just to, again, illustrate some of this stuff of what you can do, is I private lend my money. So rather than my IRA buying a rental again or flipping a property, which I'm definitely not the guy that's going to flip a property.
Yeah, I've seen Matt with a tool belt. No, I actually haven't even seen you with a tool belt.
That's the problem. That's the problem. You have not seen me with the tool belt.
Yeah. I was with a set of golf clubs over his shoulder, but not a tool belt.
And that's for my own safety and the safety of others. So, no, I'm just kidding.
I like that.
Nail gun?
Public service warning.
Don't give that guy a nail gun. Okay, so I private lend my money, all right, to other real estate investors who want to flip properties. And we've shot videos on this and gone over it. And I'll just give one example of lent money to a real estate investor in Providence, Rhode Island. Her name was Natalie. Hairdresser, general contractor, real estate investor. I love Natalie. It was a cool deal we did. But she bought a property that the bank wouldn't fund on a mortgage. It was so beat up. But she's like, this property is worth a lot. In fact, there's a lot. I can split it into 2 lots because she knew the kind of the rules in the city there. And I can fix up this property. There's a ton of equity in it. And then I can refi you out. So I was like, great. Lend her money at 12% interest and 2 points. Now I do that, and I've done that a lot with my retirement account. And to me, that's like getting some really solid base hits or doubles. Because if I can lend my money at 12% interest and 2 points, that's a 14% annual rate of return. But I actually do it twice a year because these loans are 6 months, so I get the 2 points twice. So I'm really getting a 16% annual rate of return. If you do the rule of 72 on that, which tells you how long it takes your money to double, okay? And this is secured in first position, by the way, on a piece of property that I know is worth it. And there's deals like this all over the place. Matt Sorensen is not a wizard at finding these deals. There's a lot of opportunities out there that are looking for money. And if you're strategic and networking in the right place. Okay, so take the rule of 72, divide it by 16% rate of return. That gives me every 4.5 years my money doubles. So if I took that same $100,000, think of that, I have $100,000 that I started doing the private money lending with. In 4.5 years, that's going to be $200,000. In another 4.5 years, in 9, it's going to be $400,000. Okay, in 19 years, which is when I'll basically be 60 from when I started this, that same $100,000, if I can keep this rate of return, will be $1.6 million. Wow. And so that's why people like self-directing. One, I can invest in assets I believe in. And I believe in real estate and playing the bank. I love that. The banks make money. Let me play the bank, okay? Yeah. It's passive. Mark and I have 150, 200 employees. We don't have time to go do individual deals, but I can go let my money work, right? And then on the other hand, I want to grow and build wealth. I want my money working for me while I'm out working in the businesses, right? And I think that's what a lot of people want, is they just want to get a better rate of return. So they're drawn to self-directing because of the assets that they know and believe in and can understand better than they can a mutual fund prospectus. But also, I think it can grow and have a greater return than what I'm otherwise been doing.
Than your average ETF. If some of you may be going, holy crap, Matt Sorensen's getting 16%. Some might call that loan sharking. He does have a couple collectors named Rocco and Vinny that go out and collect payment from her.
And they're expensive, so they eat into my profits. Just kidding.
All right. Now, okay, now I want to back up and say this. All right, so you've learned here, hopefully so far, okay, here are some assets I can put in a self-directed IRA. That's pretty cool. Now, what does it actually look like? Well, think of the IRA that you might open at Fidelity or Merrill Lynch or Schwab. It could be on an app. It could be on Acorns. You can even open a Robinhood. You can open up an IRA just on the app. And you put your money in and you get to buy stocks, bonds, or mutual funds. That's an IRA. Well, it's very, very similar to that and almost exactly the same. You're just going to go to a trust company like Directed IRA, our trust company, and where you can open that same account, but on day 2, they say, what do you want to invest in? Oh, I can invest in other things? Yeah. And you go to the website and you can download the forms to do a note, form an LLC. And again, why you're going to watch the next 9 episodes because we start to walk you through those steps, but they're not complicated. It's still an account. just like at Fidelity, it's an account at Directed IRA with your name on it. It's your IRA. You can take an old IRA that you've been building for years and roll it over here. You can take an old 401k from a prior job and roll it in. You can do new contributions. It's just a freaking IRA account.
Yeah.
It's just you have the control on day 2 to make a phone call and go, I want to invest in my brother-in-law's LLC. He's going to do a real estate deal or open a landscaping company. But you can't call Merrill Lynch and say that. They'll laugh you out the door. So it's the same type of account. It's just at a different institution that gives you control. You're now in the driver's seat.
Yeah, and the only thing I would note on that to just clarify is, do you really want to invest with your brother-in-law?
Yeah, fair enough.
That was an incredible.
That was a great story.
Incredible.
But that was crazy talk. Crazy talk.
You lost me at investing with your brother-in-law. It's usually
definitely. We
disaster.
do not know what we're doing to even use that as an.
Just forget about going to Thanksgiving dinner anymore because it's going to be weird. No, so but you could do all that stuff. So and that was an awesome explanation actually, and I think a lot of our clients, and by the way, we have 20,000 plus accounts we've helped clients with, over $2 billion in assets. We're the fastest growing company in the space because we really know this stuff. Not only do we do it ourselves, we have an incredible team here. We've been doing this for a long time. We've written the leading books on the topic. And so we really know this, love it, and live it ourselves, and believe this is a great way to grow and build wealth for the long haul. But a lot of our clients also will have a brokerage account.
And you can have both.
Yeah, so they have a brokerage IRA at TD Ameritrade, and they're like, I want to go invest in this private fund over here. I've done that too. I've invested in private real estate funds that are doing multifamily stuff. You can do that. And so don't think about like, well, I got to leave the stock market entirely. No, you don't. And that's not our point either. We're not saying like Wall Street's evil. We're just saying they're not telling you the full story of what your IRA or 401k can do. They're telling you what works for them, which is buy the stuff that they sell. And so there's these other options, of course, you can do with a self-directed IRA, and that's what we've been helping clients for, and we want to help you. Now, the other thing I'll note too is, well, there's a little difference on cost. Typically, your brokerage account is free because they're getting trade revenue. Okay, even though you're not paying it, they're getting this
directly.
Yeah, it's in the back end, and it's eating out from what it's being sold to you and you're buying and you just don't see it. Okay, they're getting what's called payment for order flow. Okay, go Google that if you need to about how your brokerage IRA actually makes money. Yeah. That's how they make money.
Go listen to Warren Buffett. He'll fill you in too.
How does Robinhood actually make money? That's how they make money. How does Charles Schwab make money? That's how they make money. Okay, because they don't even charge me anything for this account. Okay,
really?
When you're buying and selling, you're not actually getting the real buy price. Okay, there's some fees bought and baked in there, and that's the deal you make with that. Now, with the self-directed IRA, our fees are very transparent. It's going to be $400 to $500 a year annual account fee for your account.
That's a flat fee. We're not making money on your trades or whatever the hell you buy.
Right.
That's all you're.
No basis points based on how big your account is or not. When you buy or sell something, it's a $50 annual transaction. I'm buying real estate, $50 fee. I'm selling the real estate, $50 fee. I'm investing into XYZ startup, $50 account. So there's a transaction processing fee to buy or sell.
Because there's some paperwork and this and that.
Yeah, there's paperwork. We actually have to have people do this, and we document it. We keep the records. We do all the tax reporting to the IRS on the account. You get your annual statements. And so we're doing all that compliance stuff that keeps it a qualified, valid retirement account. We're audited, by the way, by RSM and other third-party CPA firms. We get examined by the banking department. This is a highly regulated industry. You can't just go open up an LLC, Vandelay IRAs, and be like, we're doing IRA accounts. Art Vandelay is at the helm here. No, you've got to be legit and know what you're doing, have the credentials and experience that we have to go offer these services.
And if you ever want to know the fees, it's so easy. We have a live chat on our website during business hours. The pages are very, very clear. So you can say, okay, if I bring over 10 grand or 100 grand or more, and here's what I want to do, what would it cost me? And you can, it'll be very, very clear.
Yeah, it's on the site, and you can even book a call with our team. That's a great way to get started. Just any questions you might have, just ask our team members. We have a lot of experienced people that can just help you through the process and get you going.
Now, I want to give you one other example here visually that I think is very important. When people say, well, my IRA can't do that, they think of an IRA just as like a brokerage account. Think of your IRA or your 401k or your HSA, your Roth or whatever it is, like a vehicle. It's a car going down the road. And Wall Street has tried to create this smoke and mirrors that it's not a car that you get to drive. It's not a car you can ride in the back seat, but they're driving this car for you, and that car is only on one lane of the freeway, and it has one cargo, and that's Wall Street products. That's how they've tried to build this industry with that smoke and mirror. It's like fog. Well, we want to clear the fog. We want you to have a vehicle that you can, not only can you put whatever you want in the trunk, but you can actually stop the car, kick out the driver, jump in the driver's seat, and drive that car anywhere you want according to law, just like we talked about at the beginning.
And pick up whoever you want.
Pick up whoever
along the way.
Yeah, that's right. Stop at a honky-tonk if you want, whatever you want. So you get to drive that vehicle. That's the self-directing. But there's that other hidden point that is you also get to choose what's in the back seat or the trunk. And that's a wonderful benefit of the self-directing model. And the wealthy know this. The wealthy know this. Yeah. There are statistics show that most wealthy people self-direct or invest more than 60 to 70% of their assets in alternative investments with structures like this. Yeah. And wealthy people are not 100% in the market. They figured that out. They can get a better ROI, like Matt's example of lending money. So what do you think of it like a vehicle? It's your vehicle, and you can have multiple cars in the garage. You can have a Roth in the garage. You can have a HSA in the garage. You can have a 401k in the garage, and you get to drive them wherever you want and load them up for the beach or load them up for the mountains, put whatever you want in the trunk, and that's your choice. And so think of it that way and just feel the empowerment that gives you. That, holy crap, I can really control my retirement this way?
Yeah.
We ought to have a trademark phrase for that or something.
Yeah. Take control of your retirement, baby. Trademark, not to be used without the express written consent of Matthew N. Sorensen and Major League Baseball. All right. Okay. So, but that's what we believe is take control of your retirement account, because really it's up to you. You're the one going to be living off this thing and looking forward to retirement or not. You know what I mean? And so let's get involved with it. Now, the other thing I'll say is self-directing is not for everybody.
Oh, I like this point too. You say that, I've got another point on that too.
Self-directing is for a lot of people, a lot more people that aren't doing it right now because they just don't know it's an option, but it's not necessarily for everyone. If you're like zero interest in any of these alternative assets, then don't do it. I'm not trying to talk you into this. I'm just trying to say, did you know this was even an option? And Mark and I, we work with business owners, entrepreneurs, real estate investors across our career. 99% of them have never heard about this. And if you're an entrepreneur, real estate investor type person, you're typically drawn to this. You're already entrepreneurial in spirit. You already like these types of assets. You understand business. You understand real estate. And these are the things you'd rather put in your IRA. And so this might be for you, but I'm also saying I'm not trying to talk you into this. Yeah. I'm just trying to let you know this is an option.
Well, and it's funny you bring this up because I've got an example with two of my kids over Christmas.
Yeah.
So I'll call them out. They're just wonderful. My kids have all helped in the business and some currently and all throughout their lives. So Dylan, my son, we were talking about self-directing and all this, and then my daughter got involved in the conversation, Sydney, with her fiance, Austin, who's an incredible financial advisor, financial planner. And so we were having this conversation. Dylan is like, I do not need one more thing on my plate.
Yeah.
Fine, I see it. You can get a better rate of return, but now I've got to go learn something else. Yeah. I don't have time for that. I'm a busy father. He's got 2 kids. He's like, I just want to put the money in there, and I'm good with 8%, or I'm good with 7 or 9 or whatever.
I'll just go buy the S&P 500.
Buy the S&P 500. He's like, that's my lane. And
I get that.
He had a lot of great arguments for that because we only have so much bandwidth. And so you have to decide, where am I going to spend my time? Now, Sydney, and this is a unique recommendation I made to her, Sydney is a little more like Mark Kohler.
Yeah.
You know, run and gun. She's like, I'm doing it. I'm self-directing. When can I start?
But she's in the real estate business too.
Yep, she's in real estate, and Austin's an investment advisor, so they see a lot more options. He's very skilled. So they're like, now, and she's known about self-directing for years, but we were talking about it, the account, and she's like, when can I start my account for this or whatever? We were getting into the weeds, and I go, whoa. So she's ready to go.
Yeah.
She wants to self-direct, but I gave her a unique suggestion. I said, Sydney, do not move the money into this account to self-direct until you know what you want to buy.
Yeah.
Because don't just say, I'm going to self-direct and move $100,000 and then wait for something to come along and float by. Make sure you really have at least some game plan of where that investment's going to come from, when are you going to pull the trigger and how? Because the concept's exciting, but you don't want to just move money and hope something happens. Move with intention.
And I think some people on the other side of that will call us and they're like, I found a deal and I need to close tomorrow. My money's at TD Ameritrade. And they're like, we're like, you're going to miss that deadline. I can open your account within a day if we hustle, and we open up accounts within 24 hours. You can open an account online, e-sign, can go very quick. But I got to get your money from your TD Ameritrade IRA over here. Now, TD Ameritrade is actually one of the faster ones in this example. We can get that within 3 days. But if it's at XYZ Credit Union IRA, I'm going to get that in 2 weeks. If it's your old employer 401k, we're going to get that in 3 weeks. And it's going to take a few days for the check to clear. And so sometimes it'll take a while. Now, one recommendation I do like is if you're like, well, I know I'm going to do real estate, Matt, and I know that's going to take a self-directed IRA. Okay, let's get the account open and maybe get 5 or 10K over here. You don't, if you're going to buy a property for 200 grand, you don't need to move the whole 200K over here yet. If you want to keep that in the market, you can keep doing that. But you could move 5 to 10K, enough to get an earnest money deposit so we could go get a deal done.
And kind of learn the ropes.
Yes.
Like, what was it like? Because it can feel clunky. It can, well, I thought this would be faster. Go walk into a Merrill Lynch and open an account either. It's after you sign a book, it just takes time.
It is more hands-on. It's paperwork, okay? We're buying or selling real estate or a private company. I mean, this is not like an electronic transaction. The crypto products are simpler, actually, because you are actually doing that. It's on a blockchain. It's much easier to buy and sell that asset. But another way to think about it too, and this is an option we've been doing a lot more of actually, is you can come over, you can just buy an ETF or stock here.
Yeah.
I mean, most people don't come here to do that as the end goal, but they might come here and be like, well, I'm waiting for this deal, or maybe this deal is going to happen in 3 to 6 months. I want to get it going. Let me just go buy the S&P 500 fund while I'm hanging out. And you can do that and just sit in that type of investment until the investment comes around. And then it's easy because we can sell and get your money in cash the next day to go make this self-directed investment. There's a couple different ways to think about that, but do think about this, particularly if you're new. I like that recommendation of you don't have to go do this all at once. It's not the whole account. Maybe you get a little money over there, but still stay invested. You want to still stay invested. Yeah. Now, you might have the thesis that you think the stock market's overvalued anyways, and so you don't mind being in cash because you think it's overvalued. We get those clients too. We're not trying to give you advice on what you should or shouldn't do. We're just trying to give you the things to be thinking about as you're going through the process. Yeah, and those are the questions that people should be asking.
Yeah, I like that because with Sydney, I said, let's open the account.
Yeah.
Let's have it ready to go. And, but just don't move it all over there without at least a plan. Yeah. And I like that there is turnaround time you've got to anticipate. And when you want to just have it parked in an ETF while you're here, just talk with our team and just say, hey, what's that piece or process? How do I do that? Because I think it's going to be 3 to 6 months out. So you're still making money on your account, but it's ready to pull the trigger at a much shorter notice.
Yeah, and we do, by the way, get accounts open, funded, and invested sometimes within 5 days. Yeah. So it just depends on where the money's coming from. Our process is fast. Most people who self-direct an IRA are moving money from an existing IRA that's been in a brokerage account, brokerage IRA, or an old employer 401k. So we're always dependent on how quickly they can get us the money. And we're going to go over more on that, by the way. Yeah. So, by the way, let me just give you a roadmap of what we're doing. We're going to go over different investment options you have. We're going to talk about self-directed IRA rules and the prohibited transactions more. We're going to talk about how to use this IRA LLC. Mark mentioned that a little bit. Whether it's your IRA owning an LLC 100% or partnering up with a bunch of other IRAs into one multi-member IRA LLC. We'll talk about how to invest in real estate specifically and go deeper on that, just in that one topic alone. We'll talk about crypto specifically, investing in a small business or a startup.
We're going to talk about UBIT, that tax that I referred
some of the tax
to. Like
things to make sure you're staying out of, or if you get caught in it, how to minimize any of that tax.
Yeah. And we have, I want to recommend to all of you, this podcast includes an open forum. Every 3 to 4 weeks, and we get questions from all over the country, and a lot of times you don't even know what to ask. So I would encourage you in this 10-part series, there's going to be 2 or 3 open forums along the way. Dive into that and just tune in. And some of the questions might seem complex or over your head, and others are going to be just as basic as you might be facing. Yeah. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's cool. I didn't realize that. And that's an important part of this process is getting educated, because the more education you have, the less risk you're going to take, and the less fear you'll have because you're going to be knowledgeable about what you're doing. And meanwhile, be out looking for deals. And you know, the divine, the universe, whatever you want to say, it starts to work in your favor. It's kind of like when you start to say, I want a white car, all you see is white cars.
Yeah.
when you start to say, I'm going to self-direct and I need a good investment, all of a sudden investments start coming out of the woodworks. And I think that's how the universe works. We really get what we focus on. And so take your time. Don't rush. We've got so much education here. And I'll just say it because Matt won't, is get Matt's book as well. You do. You just go buy the Self-Directed IRA Handbook, second edition, because it'll be a reference manual. And as you go listen to a podcast or come to one of our conferences, we have 2 conferences a year, and that book will be an important handbook that you can dog ear and just read when you have a quick question without having to go search for a podcast. So we're here for you. Thanks for listening. Man, any final words? I should say.
Yeah. The only thing I would just say is don't get overwhelmed by this. Okay, everybody's new to this when you start it and do it your first time. And but I always tell people self-directing is not rocket science. It's kind of more like learning a new board game. You got to learn the rules and the steps. And if you've never played it before, well, you need a rule book. And that's the Self-Directed IRA Handbook. Or play with people that have done it before. And that's us and our team that want to help you along the process to make sure you understand the rules. But once you've done it once or twice, it's the same thing over and over. Yeah. You know, you're not having to like relearn anything, and the laws don't really change that much.
This is not marital advice, by the way.
This is very specific to your IRA account, okay?
Change it up a little. Learn some new, things.
Learn some new tricks, okay?
Take your wife out on a date once in a while. Take your husband out somewhere new. But in the self-directed IRA world, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear, and we've figured out what the lanes are and what you can and can't do, and that's our goal here is to make sure you understand that, educate you here on the podcast. Get over to directedira.com, like we said, to book a call with our team. Thanks for listening. Yeah. We'll see you next time. We're going to be doing episode 2 here and going through this 10-part series. Until then, stay calm, self-direct on.